Hey you guys, LH signing in, bringing you what is 100% authentic, can never be compromised or manufactured. Happy New Year's, you guys. Happy 2018. I know it's been a minute since I've been on here, and I wanted to welcome you all you beautiful people into 2018 with me. Let me say how appreciative I am of you guys for sticking with me since I've started. And for those who've gotten my message and who get what I'm trying to say and what I'm trying to do and what I'm trying to change in this world. Um, you know, 2018 for me, it represents, a lot of, I think, of blessings that's going to happen, new beginnings. Not only that, a place where we can heal and come together. I really believe this is going to be a place of, you know, uh, just just glorious times and a time of healing and a place where we can right the wrongs from the past, especially last year, being that last year was such a hectic and crazy year for a lot of people. But yeah, as you can see, I'm bundled up. It's very cold, you guys, in Atlanta. I was um, back at home over the break, and I had caught a cold from my niece, and so I'm still going through that. But you guys probably know the flu. I hope it's not no flu. I should not have a flu because this doesn't feel like a flu, but there's a big flu epidemic going on. But yeah, you guys, I'm hanging in there. But that's probably why you guys hear my voice. My voice is very different from what it normally sounds like. So that's what's going on. But to get into the video, I want to talk about something before I just establish, what I'm going to talk about. Um, every time I go home, I have loved ones and they're very close to me, those in my family. But the concept and topic of race always comes up for me because especially when in a time and day where you have someone who's representing the country who gives a pass to blatantly be racist. I mean, just recently he called, um, you know, certain country shitholes, and I'm very offended because one of them, both are actually one was a start off place of my ancestors, and another one was a drop off place of my ancestors. One being Africa, and then the drop off place being Haiti. And so, yet, how can these places be shitholes, yet you can't seem to stay out of these shitholes? That's what I want to understand. And you taking all these shitholes resources and assets and minerals, yet it's a shithole, but you can't stay out of that shithole. So that's very telling. A lot of these people are hypocritical, but anyways, it's been brought up that I sound like I'm being self-hateful and racist towards the dominant culture in the United States. I guess the dominant society. And I personally in my heart don't believe that there's holistically dominant type of people. But as far as society, yes, there's a society where a large group of people benefit, and that would be white America. And so, I was telling this loved one, and a few of them along the way too, you know, about honestly how this country works. And, once again, I had to educate and kind of bring up my points of what what I noticed. And it should be self-reflective, but, some people, let's be honest, they choose to see what they want to see, and some people don't want to pay attention to the obvious. But that's what my job is to do, is to educate. And if you don't want to hear it, that's fine. I'm gonna have to move on to the next one, to the people who do. But in no way am I, trying to be divisive. I'm trying to bring truth to light to the situation, because if I have a problem, I expect to be checked on it so that I can work on it. And some people are not gonna be receptive to that, to that, information, or, the corrective criticism. There you go. They're not going to be as receptive to that corrective criticism that needs to be done for self-reflection, to be able to be better and to grow. And I feel like, if you don't know where you stand, you don't know where you're going. And it's it's very important that you tell someone when they're wrong. And so I felt like, having these conversations, to be able to be put on the table, we have to be able to have these conversations to put on the table, so that we can have change. Unless, nothing will happen. And that's my point of what I was trying to do by having these conversations with my loved ones back at home. And so one thing came back. Well, you are, you have white in your blood, and you have white family members, and you're part white, and that you are self-hating because you're talking about it. I never in my videos have said that I disliked all white people, or that I was, racist, or said anything, as far as the whole group of white people. I've always said that there are a few white people who do not want to acknowledge the injustices in this country, hence why I see a lot of silent conformity, and why I think a lot of things have not changed. And I'm going to proudly stand behind what I believe in. And if you think that there's a problem with speaking the truth, then you're obviously the problem. And if you, as a black person, sees the things that is going on, then you are silently co-signing what's going on, and you yourself are benefiting the society, and your silence, and benefiting the treatment of your own and people who don't have a voice. This is not necessarily a black and white thing. This is common sense. This is for people who notice things that are going on with their fellow human and decide not to do anything. That is what I'm talking about. And that is what I talk about as far as, more than just going to rallies and speaking and saying, yeah, this is not right. Yeah, this is something, that we should not be having. It is about putting into work and putting into action and saying things that people necessarily aren't going to agree with. And that is my point. So yes, I love you, and I know you watch my videos, and we had a good time, and we do, but I have to be honest, you have to wake up from that constant thinking that, this is, people who speak out against this are just trying to be radical and trying to cause division. And people like that, or don't like, are racist against other white people, or they're self-hating because they are European. Yes, I may have, I have blood that's European, and I was, I have family members who are European and white, but obviously I'm not talking about them, because if they are in the family, that's because they weren't, being, the passive aggressive, silent condoner of the racism in this country. But I am speaking against those who don't want to acknowledge their own privilege and their own co-signing of this system of oppressing other people, specifically black people in this country. Another part of me is also African, 75% African. So I can't necessarily say I'm self-hating as well because I'm predominantly African, American or African, American, whatever you want to put it, they go hand in hand, okay? So I wanted to clear that up. Another thing that I noticed too is that, yes, I have to acknowledge, as well as what I've seen with most black people, they will usually condone and come to the aid of people who should be speaking up for themselves and necessarily should not be, Captain Saved. So that's one thing I want to clear up. Do I think that as a whole we can all come together? Yes, I do. I think there are a few of us that can all come together, black and white. I do think there are black people who are a large majority of the problem as well. But I also have to give credit to other white people. I have to give credit to even some Hispanic people, even some Asian people, okay? And I know there's somebody watching who's very much into Asian culture and, even the swirl. You can swirl with the Asian person, a white person, whoever. I don't care who you are, but I am going to let you know this too for that person. As far as, saying that you don't care about what's going on in Africa, and as far as telling me that when I made that Africa video, especially that the Chinese were in Africa, and why should I care anything about Africa, especially when you said you think that they come here, they don't do anything about their people. That may be true, but you don't knock your fellow man down, especially when you notice another entity trying to take the resources of that country. And no matter how you may personally feel about Africa, I don't know if you used to be with an African or you had some dealings with an African, what you're doing is condoning one thing over another person doing the same thing in a sense. Because what I mean by that is, when I talked about the Chinese going into Africa, essentially they were mistreating some of even the Africans, telling them that they couldn't be at these restaurants in Africa by certain times, and they had to do this and then do that, and then, slowly discriminating against people who have every right to their own country, as well as, the mishandling of resources and stuff like that. So yes, I am going to continue to talk about that. And because you feel some type of way about, the Chinese, and you strongly love Chinese culture, that's you, baby, do you. But you cannot criticize me for speaking out against, for a party that you really don't care for, when that party is doing some crazy stuff. And I want to personally tell you as well that if you want to talk about, respect, give respect in return. Because listen, this is 2018. I'm not gonna I've never beaten the bush last year. I haven't beaten the bush before that, and I'm never gonna beat the bush now. Give